Superheroes are a class of people who have always sparked our imagination. Being able to fly, to shoot lasers with your eyes, and to use unbelievable gadgets capable of finishing the bad guys with a simple press of a button is the dream of every kid, even the grown-ups. Luckily, we have the means to realize every single one of these fantasies: video games. Hello and welcome, my friends, to The Flying Kick. I am Savino, and today we will take a look at 5 superhero beat-em-ups for your Super Nintendo that will make your childhood dreams come true. Making a Superman game is apparently not that easy. I mean, there were some games in the past, but honestly, as far as I know, none of them did justice to the Man of Steel. And in some ways, this difficulty is understandable. After all, the dude already comes with cheat mode enabled, giving him super speed, super strength, super resistance. I mean, unless you have some kryptonite in your pocket, the odds are very against you. Released in 1994 and developed by Blizzard, The Death and Return of Superman is an interesting game with a lot of positive things to it. Here you have your basic attack, a jump, a special move, and a projectile attack. You can grab your enemies and throw them in different ways. You can fly and attack aerial enemies while airborne. And you have 5 different Superman to play as: Kal-El, obviously, Steel, Superboy, Eradicator, and finally Cyborg Superman. I never read the comic book, but as far as I know, the game tries to follow the story as much as it can. You play the first 2 levels as Superman, and after he's killed by Doomsday, the other supers appear to take his place. Each level you play from now on will be with a different Superman, and while they have some differences between them, they are not as noticeable as you would wish. I mean, Superboy is clearly faster than the others, and Steel's reach is a bit bigger, and each one has a different throw animation, but other than that, they feel basically the same. And while this similarity is understandable, after all, they are all super, the similarities between the enemies are not so much. Each level here has a maximum of 3 or 4 different enemies, which you will fight again and again in later levels. And the enemies are not particularly interesting, with some pretty basic AI and attacks that are not very creative. I mean, unless this punk is throwing kryptonite cocktails, I don't believe it would hurt the Man of Steel. Just saying. The bosses are not interesting either, with all behaving in a similar fashion, coming guns blazing towards you and interrupting your attacks with ease. The projectile attack is also pretty underwhelming. I mean, you barely take any health from your enemies, and all they do is get stunned for a second. I mean, Molotovs can knock Superman, but a blast of pure energy from his eyes is just an inconvenience? Hard to believe. But despite all that, the combat here is pretty fun, especially thanks to the many throws you have. Like in Batman Returns, you can throw enemies in the background, but here, like 64th Street, breaking stuff can reveal some items like extra special moves, extra healths and lives. And as I mentioned, you can also throw them in any direction you want with different animations, which is pretty cool. You can also press down while holding the enemies and beat them in different ways depending on the super you're currently playing. As I said, they play basically the same, but at least the animations are unique. The combat feels relatively solid with good hit and hurt boxes, and for the Superman fans, especially those who read the comic, I'm sure there will be a lot to enjoy here. I don't think this game did justice to the Man of Steel like Batman Returns did to the Dark Knight, but this is not a bad game. It's actually quite enjoyable, and I recommend trying it if you've never done it before. From time to time, some people ask me to make a list of games that are approachable for kids, and while I know I'm at fault with these good folks, I will try to fix it right now, talking about an easy but pretty fun game for you to try with your kids, especially if you have a small girl at home. Sailor Moon Pretty Soldier, released in 1993 and developed by Bandai, was never released here in the West, which is a shame, but I can understand why they decided that way. I'm not sure if you can classify this girl heroes as superheroes, but since they have powers, transformations, and secret identities, I'm counting them as such. Don't care. Here you can play with one of the 5 sailors, and what impressed me the most here is that each one of them feels unique. I mean, this is expected nowadays, but back in the SNES era, having 5 unique characters was something to write home about. Each one of the sailors has their own set of attacks with unique basic attacks, special, desperation moves and throws. Another thing that impressed me here is the number of moves you have. Having a special move controlled by this hair tie here and a desperation move is not something we were used to seeing in these games back in the day. And you also have unique throws, each one with different purpose in the game, plus a aerial throw, something that was really rare and let's agree, feels awesome. But as I said, the game is very easy. Your enemies aren't very aggressive, and aside from some enemies in the last level, most of them can be killed by 1 or 2 basic combos. Grabbing them is also extremely easy, and it will happen even when you don't expect it, because some enemies will simply throw themselves into your arms. Yes, as I said, things will be a little bit more complicated on the last level, where enemies will get double health bars and start attacking you in groups of 4, but nothing that you can't manage with some well-placed flying kicks or, throws. Sailor Moon Pretty Soldier is very short. The game has only 4 levels and the last 2 are pretty small, but the game offers a couple of extra modes to increase its length. You have a battle mode, which is a traditional versus mode, and you also have the Chibi mode, where you play with Chibi Moon and it's hilarious. Since she is pretty small, most enemies won't be able to hit her. You are not invincible, these rolling guys can damage you, but the other enemies will have a harder time doing the same. I mean, take a look at this. Visually, the game is pretty impressive. Big sprites, no slowdowns, beautiful backgrounds with some nice parallax scrolling. I mean, it's not anything out of the ordinary, but they look pretty good. The only thing I don't like here very much is the OST. While it's not bad, it doesn't fit the game very well. The tune on the first level almost put me to sleep. Overall, while I don't recommend this game if you're looking for your next 16-bit challenge, I highly recommend this one if you have a kid at home. Even with the difficult spike on the last level, the game isn't frustrating and I'm sure it will please the little ones. Unfortunately, your best chance to play this one is through emulation. As far as I know, it was never ported to anything and the original cartridge can get quite expensive, which is a shame, because this game is quite fun. It doesn't need much to imagine how much hype an Avengers beat'em up would get if it were announced today. Heck, actually it doesn't need any imagination at all, because we have something very similar being developed right now and, as we all know, the hype is real. And you probably felt the same hype 30 years back if you were into comic books when you saw that Captain America and the Avengers was coming to your Super Nintendo. Fighting bad guys with some of our favorite heroes was exactly what we craved back in the day, and Real-Time Associates, the same developers from our Real Monsters and Beavis and Butthead, were ready to shatter all our dreams and will to live. Released in 1993, Captain America and the Avengers was a direct port from the arcade game, but while the arcade version was fun, the same can't be said about this game at all. Starting with the presentation, well, this does not look like a 16-bit game. The tiny sprites, the boring backgrounds, I mean, aside from the amount of colors on display, you wouldn't think this is a game for the SNES. But even with so many colors at their disposal, the character shading is really bland. I mean, take a look at Vision. Animations are also atrocious, the walk cycle has almost no frames and both you and your enemies' attacks are one single frame. The same can be said when you knock your enemies down, I mean, take a look at this. And I love how Hawkeye attacks, I mean, what the dude is doing. But we all know graphics don't really matter if the gameplay is good, and here the gameplay is absolutely awful. Here you can play with Vision, Cap, Hawkeye and Iron Man, but they are just reskins of each other. They play exactly the same with the same moves and the same traits. You may think Vision and Iron Man can fly, but nope, even their jumps are the same. I mean, they fly on the half-baked shooting up stage, but again, it makes no real difference gameplay-wise. You have here a basic combo, your jump, a terrible jump attack and a projectile attack. No specials, no desperation moves. I mean, there's a huge lack of variety here, but the biggest problem here lies in the combat itself. You can only hit your enemies once. I don't know who tested this thing, but every time you land a single hit on your enemy, they will become invincible for a couple of seconds, and as you can expect, they will hit you. This is probably the most frustrating game in the whole SNES beat-em up library because you simply cannot fight. All you can do here is punch your enemy once and move to another place to try to hit them again. But if there's more than one enemy on the screen, you are probably screwed. Now, what pisses me off the most here is that every attack you take will knock you down. The enemy shoots at you, knock it. Took a punch, knock it. The enemy look at you in a funny way, probably knock it too. It's truly unbearable. The bosses are even worse because they will become invincible for a very long time after you hit them, making beat them an unbearable chore. Take a look how long Red Skull stays invincible after you hit him. This is ridiculous. This is easily one of the most annoying games on the Super Nintendo, and I played Baby's Kid. There is a version for the Mega Drive that is less frustrating, but if you really want to play this one, go for the arcade version, which, while is not the best beaten up around, at least plays way better than this. Or you can download the updated version created on OpenBore, which is really good. Maximum Carnage is probably the only Spider-Man beat-em up I like. Yeah, I don't like the arcade game, and I don't like Separation Anxiety either, despite being pretty similar to this game. But while I enjoy this game, I don't think it is anything amazing or something deserving of such an awesome red cartridge. The game looks okay, the sprites are decently sized and both Venom and Spider-Man looks pretty good, and while the backgrounds are pretty boring, lacking variety, they have a certain comic book feel that helps a bit. The enemies are kind of bland. You will see the same street thugs over and over again, and they don't have anything memorable about them. Now, the cutscenes are incredible, really selling the whole comic book thing here. But what I like about this game is how they use Spidey's power to its fullest. You can punch and jump like any other beat-em up, but here you can also use your web in a variety of ways. You can use it to pull your enemies towards you, to tie them, you can make a shield with it, and you can also use it to climb up the screen and look for hidden items. This, or you can simply climb the walls. You also have a back jump that's perfect to take you out of some bad situations and reposition yourself to counter-strike. You can also throw enemies, but the developers decided to make this the most complicated thing ever. You grab your enemies by approaching them, and if you press attack, you will hit them like every game ever. But to really throw your enemy, instead of pressing X or A, you have to press up and only then attack. If you press any other button, you will simply drop anything you're holding. I mean, it's not rocket science, but it's way more complicated than it should be. The feel of the combat is not stellar, but it has a certain oomph to it that it's okay. I mean, this is not Streets of Rage or any Capcom beaten up, but it feels way better than the arcade game. You also find from time to time an icon with the faces of other heroes. These will be your special moves, and you can pick as many as you can to use later. Each one has a special power that will kill any enemy on the screen and really hurt the bosses. Actually, this is the best way to kill any boss, just use your special ability a couple of times and that's it. After some time you will also unlock Venom, which has the same powers as Spider but is way stronger. Now, the game is a bit unfair, and I'm sure liking this game comes with a hefty dose of nostalgia because you need a lot of practice to get somewhere here. First, the game gives you only 3 lives, and it also only gives you 2 continues, which will bring you to the beginning of the level no matter where you died. You can find extra lives and continues in the game, but they are not that easy to come by. They will appear in fixed places, which is good, but the same can't be said about the health replenishers, which will appear randomly after killing an enemy, and believe me, you will need all you can get in later levels. While this is far from the best game on this list, it is far from the worst, and if you are up for some Spider-Man shenanigans, I think this is the best game to try. I don't think any of you will disagree that Batman Returns is probably the best beaten up based on a superhero. Heck, I would go as far as to say that Batman Returns is one of the best beaten ups for the Super Nintendo, period. You all already played this one countless times, I'm sure of that, because I don't believe there's a fan of the genre who has never touched this one. There's not even much to say about it that you guys haven't heard before. I mean, you all know how it perfectly follows the movie's plot, you all watched the amazing cutscenes that came directly from the movie, and you all bathed yourselves in the glory of its 16-bit graphics, which were some of the best you could find at home at the time. And the music and sound effects? This game is so good that even being single player only, people never complain about it. I mean, you hear people saying that would be great with 2 players, but not in a negative tone like you hear about Final Fight. And in this case, differently from Final Fight, the game being single player makes a lot of sense. It follows the move to the letter, and in the move Batman is a lone vigilante, so a Robin would make no sense, much less a second Batman. And it feels just right to play this game alone in a dark room, preferably with some rain outside. And there's the music, which is also amazing. I mean, this is Konami we were talking about, make 16-bit renditions of music from Danny Elfman and some original music too, of course, but what else do you need? The game has some characteristics that were typical of Konami games in the 90s, like being able to see the true ending only if you beat the game on the hardest difficulty. This will prevent casual modern players from seeing the ending, but honestly, for the time, this was pretty acceptable in my opinion. I rented this game a couple of times before buying it, and being forced to play on hard to really beat the game was a very welcoming challenge. And to be honest, this is a very fair game. You can select up to 7 lives before entering the game, and there's even a special code to start the game with 9 lives, which will make your life way easier. Also, you can increase the number of continues from 3 to 9 with another special code, making the game pretty manageable. Don't you miss when games came with these cheat codes? Man, it was awesome. But yeah, I won't even waste your time anymore. There's no point in making a recommendation for this game. This is more a reminder for you to play it as soon as you can. And that's it for the video, folks. Of course, there are more superhero games on the Super Nintendo for us to talk about, and of course, there are even more games in other systems too, which we will talk about pretty soon. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like on your way out and check the description to see how you can support the channel by buying games. I will see you all pretty soon, but until then, I hope you all have an awesome week, and remember, keep it up.